tangent, but I want to, since you just touched on it, I want to get into it. In a state where you have Clemson in the national news every Saturday with an amazing football team, you have South Carolina, you have Coastal, which is, good tailgate experience, football team, beaches right there. You have College of Charleston. I'm leaving out 100 colleges. How does Winthrop compete for students in an environment like that? And what is the competitive edge that allows Winthrop, and I guess what makes a Winthrop student want to come be a part of the Winthrop community?
Well, I mean, you've got two things. One, you have to make visible the programs, right, that the region of the community want. Our academic portfolio should mirror, right, the top 5 industries in York County, the top 5 industries in South Carolina, that kind of thing. And then investing in the marketing that, kind of makes visible the Winthrop brand. And what I mean by that is the value propositions, right? And for so long, those were known, conspicuous, but again, the model has changed, right? And so simply word of mouth is not appropriate enough to continue to maintain your market share, which we've discovered over the last 5, 6, 7 years. That's not enough. So I just don't think that if you build and leverage and sell and market a portfolio that supports this region in the industries that we need to provide, the growth is there. I mean, this is an attractive area. I mean, that's just the bottom line. And every school, here's the thing, every school sells what they've got, right? And so we could say, well, Coastal Carolina has the beach and they've got football. Okay, fine. We have York County and we have Charlotte, and you sell what you have and you line up your portfolio that way. There's no doubt that we can't take. But here's the other thing: higher ed institutions are not used of looking at it in a competitive landscape in the sense of, if I gain 3 students, that means you lost 2 students.
Right.
Well, guess what? That's going to happen.
Yeah.
Well, let's go. It is what it is.
When I think about Winthrop and that value prop differentiator going to the market, I don't want to say we have an identity crisis, but we need to know what we're selling as a university. And early in my career, I learned you can either sell a new product or you can sell an old product a new way. Doing both is extremely difficult. We don't know yet if we're going to sell a new product or if we're going to sell the old product a different way, right? And it could be both. Could be one, it could be the other. And I think that's on Dr. Cerna to figure out, okay, what is the trajectory? Am I selling a new program that, as Jack mentioned, is prevalent in York County where there is demand gen, and I can loop back into that and just have a feeder program? Or is it, look, we need to double down on education. That is our bread and butter. We are not going to let another university take that market cap away from us and just sell it a different way. He'll have to figure that out.
Yeah.
But we're all there for them. But I think it's a great thing to figure out right now.
That's a good
Well,
problem.
I would also say part of it is recognizing your role in the state of South Carolina as well. I think that we relied a lot upon our previous earlier reputation, right, provider of college of education and strong liberal arts foundation, right? But we're a public master's comprehensive university. We are a public master's comprehensive university. We need to be delivering programs that the public needs. And there is a major need in this area of South Carolina in all areas of healthcare, all areas, right? I wouldn't say that's just the way for Winthrop to grow enrollment. I would say it's our charge.
Right.
We are a public university. We need to be serving those needs in this region.
Yeah. That's a really interesting way to put it, too, because if it is a publicly funded university, then that changes where the obligations and duties are. And if the obligation is to the public, then, you really have to make sure. And, of course, there's got to be ROI for the university and all that
of course,
to make it actually work. But if that's where the demand is, of course there will be.
Right.
And I think that actually bodes well because, okay, so if the competitive edge, if the value proposition for Winthrop is come to an area, come to a market where there's employment opportunity for you if you're well-trained and you're going to receive the type of education that Winthrop can provide, versus the value proposition of another school, which is, hey, come watch football games.
Right.
Does that lend itself to solving another problem, which is the quality of student? Because if you're the type of high school student who's looking at colleges and you say, well, and your choices are, I want to go tailgate for football games on Saturday mornings, or I want to go somewhere where I'm going to be challenged, but I'm going to have job opportunities when I graduate because I'm going to be somewhere where the market is robust and there's a demand for me as a trained professional coming out of this university. Don't you think that the type of student that chooses the latter option is probably the type of student that you want to have?
Yeah, to a certain, yes, absolutely. And what I would use this data point, right? And this data hasn't changed for
I'm assuming that type of
years.
student exists.
Yeah, that's right. For this data hasn't changed for 12 years. We survey our applicants. We survey folks who are admitted, right? And over 50% of the students, Winthrop was not their first choice. Okay?
I'm one.
Now,
I have to admit
I'm
to
two.
that. Yeah.
there you go.
There you go.
We were not their first choice, which means if for many in South Carolina, if Clemson accepted them, they went to Clemson. But it also suggests, look at the number of those students that did not go, did not transfer, they stayed. So if we have over 50% of the incoming students where we're not their first choice, that can create some challenges. All you have to do is lower that number to 40%, and you've changed the trajectory of the university. You know,
is that a retention problem?
No, I just mean
Yeah.
because back to your point.
Yeah. If they're choosing you.
Are they going to choose you or football? We're not in that debate right now because we've not made visible that.
Yeah.
And all we need to do is peel off 10%. We don't need all 50%.
That's interesting.
We don't need to convince the person that just really wants football. No, you really want stop.
Yeah.
But what about the 10% that think, well, I guess I'll go to South Carolina. I mean, that could be fun. Versus I'm very into exercise science, and they've got internships lined up with athletic training and the Panthers organization. Now I have a different proposition to consider.
Yeah. Now there's a career path.
Right.
It's not even, I just think about students coming to Winthrop, and when I came, well, Charlotte's up the road. There is a Fort Mill, York County experience now that is so different than when we were here 20 years ago. It's kind of crazy. Where do I want to go to lunch today? Oh, there's 50 different places on Main Street, right?
Yeah, it was a lot different. Very much so. Almost comically so. It was still Old Rock Hill, still very much the small town, and it still retains all of that charm, but also it's vibrant and there's economic opportunity, and it's not really Charlotte is up the road. It's almost like you're kind of part of Greater Charlotte at this point.
Correct.
It's hard to tell where the divide actually is. So yeah, it's a lot different.